Hello and welcome to the October edition of Access Europe. And it's good to see so many people here already. And I'm hoping we'll get more joining us in the next few minutes as well. And as you can see, we have Alessandro Grimaldi, my co-chair, who's going to be talking about cataloging and searching emails with Access. And just a warning that Alessandro's had some problems with audio in recent months, and hopefully those gremlins will disappear today. But to try and reduce bandwidth as much as possible, please, or try and increase the available bandwidth as much as possible, can ask everybody to turn off your microphones, turn off your cameras, and if you wish to ask a question while Alessandro is talking, put it in the chat, and I'll monitor that, and at suitable moments, then I will ask Alessandro to respond to things that come up. Okay, and Alessandro, for those of you who haven't read his biography, he's been a highly traveled person. He worked for the UN for many years. He's multilingual, English and Italian, obviously. He's also worked in Afghanistan, I believe, and was it Ethiopia, Alessandro? His microphone is either off or...
Yeah, Ethiopia and North Korea.
Right. And he's now living, or has been living, in Frankfurt for the last 8 years, and his German is slightly less than fluent, I believe, still. Is that right?
Slightly.
Your son teacher speaks better German than you.
Understatement of the century.
Yeah. Anyway, welcome, Alessandro, and thanks. I will pass over to you, and you should be able to take over sharing at your convenience.
You should stop sharing your screen before.
You should be able to do it anyway. You're set up so you can do it, but I will do. Right, over to you.
Okay. Can you see it? Can you hear me, most of all?
Yep, both of those, yes.
Okay, unfortunately, I'm still having some connection problems. I don't know why, so probably some audio interruptions are going to happen. Anyway, let's hope for the best. And sorry, but I also have some voice problems in this starting winter, so my voice may come and go. Sorry for that. Okay, so first of all, welcome you all once again to this new AUG Europe meeting. As Colin said already, today we're talking about a tool to classify or catalog and search emails using Access. Those of you who follow me already know that my favorite topic is alternative graphical interfaces with Access, or dynamic interfaces, as I prefer to call them, largely based on the drag and drop engine I created several years ago. But today, specifically for AUG Europe, I decided to show you something else. This is one of the last applications I created for the European Central Bank, an application that I never showed outside of the ECB, so it's an absolute first time. It features a very close communication between Access and Outlook. Generally speaking, the problem was to classify all the emails based on the sender's name or the sender's address or keywords in the subject or in the body, assigning each of them to specific persons or teams, and with the possibility to search through the emails, building ad hoc and personalized filters on basically any possible field: the sender name, address, content, subject, recipient names, addresses, CC names or addresses, and more. So I have my tool here already started. Basically, this small mask here was useful to me only for development purposes. It gets hidden to the final user in the production environment, so we can just disregard it. There are three main modules. The first one is the business case manager. You can think of business cases as categories relevant to your emails. Keep in mind that this application was highly customized for the bank and their activities. This mask addresses their idea of business case, which is a combination of JSTs, NCAs, and business areas. JST means, if I remember correctly, Joint Supervisory Team. NCA is National Center Authority, but we don't need to know what these things are actually. They were just relevant to the ECB daily activities. Just take them for what they are, just abbreviations and some kind of entities. So here they could create and edit their keys, selecting one or more JSTs, one or more NCAs, and one or more business area. The combination of these values forms a unique key, which later can be associated to specific emails. This mask, of course, should be customized for a different client to keep their own categories into consideration. Again, these are the categories relevant to the ECB. The interface provides some nice features. For example, the possibility to clone an existing case. It can also track modifications in real time, which is useful, I think, when you want to undo what you're doing. So you can see it records all my actions. So it's easy then to undo them if they are not wanted, actually. Anyway, all this master data is accessible from the admin interface here, which also shows some cross-field statistics about the emails already added to the database and the business case already defined. Countries, JSTs, and NCAs. Okay, nothing particularly relevant here. It's just a builder of keys. The second module is more interesting. That's the main connector to Outlook. So we can open Outlook, reduce this one, and we can start the mail manager. Of course, it works best with 2 monitors, which is the standard configuration for each ECB working station. Today, we have to arrange the windows on a single screen. I hope it will be clear anyway, even though the font is small. But I think you can zoom in somehow. I also hope I won't disclose any sensible data, even though I don't really have any sensible data in my email, I guess. Anyway. Okay, so the thing is, I select an email in Outlook, refresh the screen by double-clicking this label, and information is extracted from the email and shown on the screen. Folder subject from received. Of course, double-clicking every time quickly becomes quite annoying, so we can activate the auto-refresh function. So I click on an email, and the screen updates again and again. As you can see, the current categories are also read and shown. This email is associated or is already associated to 2 business cases, and it's marked as read. Here you can see the red category. Nothing for this message, nothing for this message, meaning that these are new mails which haven't been classified yet. This category list is somehow a dynamic list. For example, if I create a new category, I don't remember where they are. Okay, we can go like this. Tags, categories. Okay, if I create a new category, for example, test with this lime color here. Okay, I can refresh the list, double-clicking on this label here, and I have my new category listed here. This refresh can be made automatic, of course, but it may take that extra millisecond that usually annoys me. So I kept it manual, and after all, it's a once in a while operation. So with my mail selected, I can choose the business cases, how can I say, to which I want this email to be assigned. For example, these 2 or 3. If I don't remember what they are, I just double click and the business case manager opens already on this business case, so I can see exactly what it is about. I can also assign 1 or more color categories to the email. For example, these 3, let's say, and save. The mail in this moment is saved into the database, which means its data and metadata is parsed, and sender, recipients, CC addresses are stored in the internal tables, along with the subject, the body, and other pieces of information. Also note that the chosen colors, these colors I chose, have been applied to the email in Outlook, which is very useful if you assign each color to a specific person or a specific team, which is a normal procedure in many offices when a mailbox is shared. This mask doesn't do much more than this. You can also choose to declassify, to forget an email, which means its data and metadata is deleted from the database. Well, actually, it's a bit more complicated than this, as the email is not really deleted. It's marked as deleted, but that's not important now. The consequence is that the classified emails won't appear in your search results any longer. So let's keep this mail so later we can search for it. And this is how mails are classified and saved to the database. And then the third module, the search manager, which is, I guess, the most interesting. This gave me some headache because of the user requirements. They wanted to search on literally any field or combination of fields, creating queries on the spot according to their needs, because there was almost no standard search they could figure out in advance. And they also needed periodic queries, for example, a search on the last 3 months mails. Obviously, the normal user never even heard about something called SQL, so asking them to write an SQL query with the Access standards query wizard was not an option at all. So I revived and expanded a search engine I had created a few years before for the UN. This is how it looks. Let's take this out of sight. It's distracting. Okay. How does it work? You can limit the search to a specific date frame. There's a bunch of predefined ones, last 3 months, this quarter, last month, today, current year, and so on. Or you can choose custom and choose custom data range. You can also limit the search to mails arrived within a specific time frame, for example, from 7 to 17, using this slider. And you can also right-click to select a granularity that you need if you want to be extremely precise. Okay. Then you create the body of the filter. You select a field. Obviously, these are not the actual table field names. They are user-friendly names. And as you can see, they can be pretty much anything. Business area, business case, JST, NCA, recipient's address, sender's address, name, and so on. The list is based on a table, so it can be expanded or changed as needed. Then the operator, which depends on the selected key. For example, in this case, the key is a string, the business case. So in the operation combo, you see string-related operators. Is starts with, contains, ends with, is not, does not contain, and even a comma-separated list. The National Central Agency, for example, on the other hand, is a bit more restrictive, as it can be only a specific value. So the operator is just is, are just is or is not. Well, in this case, all the keys are strings, so we can't see any more example. But if there was, say, a number, the operator list would show greater than, less than, equal to, and such. More conditions can be added using this plus button, up to 8 conditions, not because it's not possible to add more. It is, of course, as many as you want, but because 8 conditions are far more than usually needed to an average human being performing a search. So they can select more criteria, mail body contains, whatever, and so on. And they can join the conditions with and or. Expert SQL users have an additional help. They can see and edit the actual SQL itself. So, for example, they can add parentheses to group conditions if they want. Of course, any manual modifications done here overrides the upper filter settings, which are disabled. So let's keep it simple for this demonstration and just use one single criterion. I guess criterion is the single of criteria. Let's say something easy. JST is Atbau, which is an Austrian bank, and choose last 3 months as a date range. We save the filter with a name, for example, test filter. The same form shows the final SQL, and that is a new filter. It's not existing. Filter save. If I make any modification, for example, I change to the date to last month, and save again, I can see the different SQL. So I know what I'm overwriting. Okay, let's save and go back to the search window, this one, where my new brand new filter is shown. The SQL is shown once more, so I can see what it does without having to open it. Now, let's disregard these two minor options here and concentrate on this word here, this relative word here. By default, a filter is considered to have a relative time frame. What does it mean? You probably noticed that the filter definition here contains a last month time frame. Last month is a relative time frame. If I run this filter today, this last month will be replaced by 30th of September 2022, last month. If I open the application in a month from now and run the same filter, it will be automatically replaced by 31st of October 2022. This allows the users to create recurring filters that can be used in time with no modifications. This works with any of the predefined time frame, 3 months, quarter, last month, current year, and so on. In some cases, though, I might want to run the filter using the exact dates applied when it was built. For example, if we are in December now, but I want to see which mails were matching this filter at the moment it was created, I don't have to recreate the filter with the proper dates or modify this one. I can leave it as it is and simply select absolute here. And as you can see, last month is replaced with the dates that were valid when the filter was created, today, basically. Of course, we can delete, rename, and edit the name of the filter, or we can decide to apply. And this is the biggest problem I had to face. How to show the results. I mean, the result of a filter is a set of emails that could be one or hundreds. So what could be an easy and effective way to show them? I decided to exploit what's already existing. That's to say, Outlook's search folders. You'll know, I guess, that every mailbox has a search folder, and we can create a new dynamic folder specifying our criteria. All mails matching those criteria will appear in the folder as if there were some shortcuts, like Windows shortcuts. So what I do when I apply the selected filter, first of all, I give a name to the search folder that will be created, for example, Lack of Fantasy test folder. Then the application goes through all the classified emails, checks which match the filter criteria, creates the folder, and add them to it. At the end, the folder is shown. In our case, we only have one mail coming from Abao in the specified time frame, the one we classified at the very start. But again, they could be hundreds. Okay, so simple as that. Well, this is simple, but the code behind is a bit more hostile. What if I give the same name to another search? For example, let's apply the same name, the same filter in an absolute way, just to make a change, and apply it, giving the same name to the folder, test folder. I can't. The application finds it's already existing, shows the generating SQL, which of course in this case is the same, and save is disabled. I have to change the name. For example, I can add 2. In this case, I can run it and I can save. This ensures that existing folders don't get accidentally overwritten. So now I have 2 folders. Here is the emails, or the email matching the filter criteria. Of course, this folder mechanism brings more problem. They are directly accessible from Outlook, but the Outlook user, I mean, outside of the application. And the user can rename it or possibly rename them or possibly delete them. For example, if I manually delete this folder in Outlook outside of the Access application, and I try to run the filter again, given the same folder name, I can't, again, because the application doesn't know it has been deleted in Outlook. And that's why I created these Outlook folders manager showing all the folder names known to the database. If we know that a specific folder has been renamed or deleted, we can rename it or delete it here as well. If we don't know, we can try to locate it. The folder is not found, and the correct hint is that it has been manually deleted. The thing is different if the folder has been renamed. For example, if I rename this folder to whatever, my test folder, and I try to locate it, it's still found because the database stores the folder ID, not its name, and the ID hasn't changed. In this case, we can rename it manually, but if we have dozens of folders, this is not an efficient way to synchronize the application with Outlook. So I added this clean list function, which tries to perform this task automatically. Now, this doesn't work properly here as the code is based on ECPs, mailboxes, and folders, and changing this part would have been a bit complicated, and I thought it wasn't worth it. Anyway, the result is that the database contents gets synchronized with the actual Outlook folders. But there's another problem. Suppose we have created and run a filter, okay? The search folder has been created and the existing mails have been added to it. Now, let's say a new mail arrives and gets classified using the mail manager, applying the same criteria. This mail now matches the filter criteria and should be added to the folder, but the application has no way to know that. The only way seems to be deleting the current folder, rerun the filter, so the folder would be recreated with the same name, including the new mail. And that's obviously an unacceptable way of doing it for many obvious reasons. My solution was to create a daemon. The daemon is another access tool, access application, which is automatically launched by the main application when it starts, monitoring the inbox. Silently runs in the background, and it has an internal timer. When the timer triggers, the daemon scans the inbox looking for unclassified emails, and then run all the active filters against these new emails. If any of these emails matches any filter, it's immediately added to the corresponding search folder. So from the user's point of view, if they are looking at that folder, they will just see the new email appear. Of course, this creates more problems because if the application is launched by concurrent users, the daemon would be launched twice, and this would create all sorts of conflicts and error. So I also implemented a control mechanism which, before launching the daemon, checks if it's already running, plus more controls in case the daemon was launched and for some reasons it didn't close, and other minor stuff. So this eventually turned out to be a big application with several logical and technical problems that needed to be tackled. There are more features I didn't tell you about. For example, in the admin window, we can set several parameters. For example, the daemon activation interval. It's also possible to pre-classify the emails based on the sender or on specific keywords in the body. So the emails, when they arrive, are automatically moved to specific folders before they are analyzed by the application. This was a later requirement. We can also set a default color for the classified emails, and it's a default color for the declassified emails, and so on, and other minor stuff which is not worth mentioning here. To recap the whole thing, I will show you the original presentation I created to illustrate the application at the ECB. At first, it was meant to be an unofficial presentation to the main user, who was a nice lady. So I did something a bit different from the usual, very serious company presentations. But then the whole thing quickly escalated, and I had to show it to more and more people, up to a division leader, which was a bit embarrassing, but eventually everyone liked it. So starting with the requirements, they needed to create and edit keys, that's to say, combination of JSTs and CAs and business areas. Actually, the requirement considered one JST, one NCA, and one business area. They also wanted to create and edit business cases, each one associated to a key, manually assign emails to a single business case, and create and edit search filters to group emails according to multiple criteria. Of course, some of the challenges were clear from the very beginning. For example, the required multi-user access, which could cause conflicts and other errors. No code could be created in Outlook because of ECB security policies. So if some of you is wondering why I did this in Access while most of the things could have been done in Outlook, well, unfortunately, the ECB implements a strict security policy, so coding is disabled in Outlook. It was hard to find a proper and efficient way to show the results of a search from 0 to 200 mails. Keys could be very long, difficult to show and handle. Remember, a key is a combination of any number of JSTs, NCAs, and business area. There was the need for an advanced search engine due to the large number of search dimensions, and the intense interaction between Outlook and Access might have been could have been a problem. Mail parsing and data extraction, mail search, mail retrieval, the daemon running in the background, etc. So somehow I went far beyond their requirements, as the tool included a lot of additional functionalities. These are the main features provided. Unlimited number of business cases, whereas they had asked for a couple of dozens. Unlimited number of classified emails. An email can be associated to any number of business cases, not just one. Unlimited number of search filters. Advanced search filter editor, searching on 14 different dimensions, expandable list, and up to 8 different conditions in N and OR. Plus the possibility to manually modify the SQL to fine-tune the search. When a filter is run, a search folder is created to group all the emails matching the filter criteria. There's a search folder editor to locate, delete, and rename the folders. Filters can refer to a relative or an absolute time frame, so recurrent filters can be created only once. And then the system architecture, which is rather typical for any Access project. There's no surprise here. An Access file containing all the data, which sits on a shared drive, and another Access file, the front end, which can be installed on every user's PC. The solution architecture is based on 4 modules called managers: the business case manager, the main manager to catalog the mails, the search manager to create the filters, and the Outlook folder manager. Plus the additional Access file called the Daemon, which runs in the background to update the existing search folders with the new mails as they arrive. I also added a caveats section to highlight some possible problems, also proposing some possible solutions. For example, only one user at a time should classify the emails, because conflicts can be dangerous. A possible solution is to assign different users to different Outlook folders, and eventually I found out that this was already the standard procedure. Since the tool talks to Outlook and the backend is on a shared folder, some operation can be a bit slow. This is not a real problem, actually, as slow usually means a few seconds or even less. The duration of many operations is determined by the number of search folders created in Outlook, so the obvious solution is to keep this number to a minimum, deleting the unused or obsolete folders. And again, because the database is on a shared drive, it might get corrupted. It actually happened a few times in the past, not for this project, but in previous and unfortunately more important projects. A possible solution is to keep regular backups. Eventually, in the final version, I added some code to make automatic daily backups of the backend. And that's pretty much it. As far as I know, this application is still used by the office that requested it at ECB, So even though it might not be really impressive visually, I still consider it one of my most successful creations. That's all. Thank you very much for your attention. I know it might have been a bit boring, but if there's any question, I will be happy to take them.
Thank you, Alessandro. There was a lot there to cover that you covered, and there hasn't been things coming up in the chat until just now. Neil wants to ask a question, and then I've got a few things I wanted to ask as well. But before I do, I'd love to know how you did that PowerPoint, which is a totally side issue, but I would not have a clue how to do that. I really wouldn't. So you can teach me that on a separate occasion, or maybe run a whole presentation on presentations. Anyway, Neil, you have a question. Would you like to unmute?
Yes, sorry, I had to unmute. I thought that Outlook search folders were dynamic. So why do you need the daemon to constantly update them?
Because, yes, it's dynamic, but as long as the emails match the folder criteria. So a new email, when it arrives, is just a new email with no, the application has no clue what this email is about. The mail has to be classified. And if you have created some filters, you have to check which filters are matched by the new classification of the email.
I don't understand. I thought that the filters you were defining, so you would put a search filter in from Access, which basically says, show me category red filters that have got this in the subject. Are you not defining that as an Outlook search filter? In which case...
No, that's the categorization of the email. So the emails is read and stored in the database. But the problem is you have to check which filters are satisfied by the new classification. So you have to run the filters against that email. You have to feed the filters with that email to see which filters are satisfied. So in which folder that email has to go.
Yeah, I think what you mean is that only Access knows what the categorization is, so it has to define the filters.
Exactly, exactly. Again, it's not possible. It wasn't possible to write code in Outlook because it was blocked. So everything has to be done in Access. Now, if a new email arrives to Outlook, some human has to classify that emails. But then again, all the filters have to be run against that email to see in which folder, in which search folder it has to fall.
Could you translate your Access filters into DASL filters that Outlook would just apply dynamically? Into,
sorry, what?
DASL filters, DASL filters, you know, Outlook search filters.
I think we talk about the same thing because that's how it's done. I think, if I remember correctly, yeah, that's the acronym I use. But let me show you the code. Maybe this is what you're talking about.
Because anyone translate Access SQL into DASL's got one on me anyway.
So let me remember where it is. It was many years ago. It was in, should be class Outlook. Maybe here. Is this what you're talking about?
Yes.
No. Yes, exactly. That's how it's done. But again, at some point, the filters has to be run, either manually or automatically. Because every filter has to check the new emails and move them, let's say so, move them in the correct folder. And this operation has to be done at some point, either manually or automatically. Manually is not feasible. And that's the reason why I created the daemon, which runs in the background and automatically at given intervals does this job, runs the filter and moves, so to say, the new emails to the correct folder.
Are you saying that it's applying custom properties to the actual emails, and then the filter is then saying, oh, now I can see the custom properties, I can find them in my search folder? Ah, so you're not actually moving into the search folder at all. What you're doing is you're applying custom properties which the filter depends upon.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Understood, yeah.
I'll show you. I can show you how it works in more detail
No, I understand. I understand because basically
I remember where these things are.
Yeah, the filter in there. Yeah, the filter which Outlook will automatically apply and do the search for you, but you've got to actually put the custom properties into the emails for it to find them in the first place.
Absolutely correct.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay, moving on. John, he praising the quality of what you've done and asked how long it took you to create the code. I don't know if you want to add to that, John.
No, I was just trying to get a feel for what the scale of it is. I mean, like I say, it's very impressive.
Oh, thanks. How long did it take? Well, not too long actually, because the biggest part, well, there were two biggest parts. The filter, the creation of a filter. This took me a while, but as I said, I reused an old piece of code I had created years before. So I just had to adapt it to the new environment, let's say, and add some more features. And then the real big part, the real headache was how to create the search folders and how to convince the emails to go to the correct search folder. And generally speaking, every filter has an ID, a record ID. So I just create a property for each mail, custom property for each email, and in that field I save the filter ID, and then I create a search folder saying if an email contains this ID in this custom field, then show it in the proper folder. That's the generic idea. The general idea. Obviously, the details were a bit gory. I have to study this whole new thing to me, which again, it should be called the ASL. I didn't remember that. Basically, a namespace. Outlook uses several namespaces to access the objects, and this is just one of those. If you want to get deeper in this topic, as I did, yeah, Colin.
Yeah, I was just going to say that GUID there. I think that's the Outlook reference library, I believe.
Yeah, let me find it. I should be here. Yes. Okay. This is the page where I started studying this thing. I definitely haven't become an expert yet, but it gave me an idea of what we're talking about. These are namespaces used by Outlook objects, and they are used to access Outlook objects, including how to create custom properties field in each email. If you're interested, I can paste the address in the chat box.
Thank you, Alessandro. I think I know you haven't prepared a demo database for this, but I would imagine a lot of the people watching this would actually appreciate it if it were possible to do so. I know you did it for the ECB. Are you able to create a demo version from this? Are you able and willing?
Well, let me see. Maybe the Daemon doesn't work actually. I should modify its code to work on my laptop rather than on the ECB network. I can try, but basically what you will see is a new mail arrives in the inbox. A human classifies somehow, so selects some categories here and some colors if he wants, and save it. And after a few seconds, depending on the Daemon interval, this email will appear in the correct folder. That's how it looks from outside, what the user sees. It's not very spectacular from the user point of view.
No, but I think it's the code in getting this to work would be what people would appreciate. Certainly, I'm doing this out of order, but I think it actually fits in better here. Ant has asked a question about using Exchange for this purpose here. Ant, would you like to ask your question yourself rather than me paraphrase it?
This was built for a Microsoft Exchange for a corporate mailbox. I mean, I developed this one when I was working at DCB. It's a corporate mailbox. It was a corporate mailbox using Microsoft Exchange.
And do you want to add to that?
I had to adapt it to work.
Sorry, I had a double mute. My apologies. So I was trying to get my head around how this would fit into an individual working environment. Let's say I wanted to set up something like this to manage my own Outlook. But so this talks about Outlook, and which means then that it's not a server application that hangs around in the background and it's servicing a whole lot of people simultaneously. This is an individual's management of his own mailbox. Is that right?
Not sure I understand the question because there were many breaks in the audio. You're asking if this can be applied to a personal.
No, I'm saying this looks like it's personal. So it's not something that's going to take a whole Microsoft Exchange and start managing email at a blanket corporate level. It's something that an individual would set up and use, looking into a corporate mailbox.
I see. So I understood the opposite. No, actually, the background is they have these shared inbox used by many people, where institutional mails are sent and arrive. They have to, to shunt, Colin, to assign different emails to different people or different offices based on several parameters, the sender specific subjects or specific keywords in the text and so in the body and so on. So they have this shared mailbox. Someone catalogs these emails, and it's a way to assign these emails to other people. Okay, so it's made on purpose for a collaborative environment, actually.
Okay, and that was done through the Access application, not through Outlook.
No, again, because Outlook was locked somehow.
Yes.
No code was allowed.
Okay.
I'm intrigued, but I'm intrigued knowing how many IT departments block use of code within Access to many users. Why did they block Outlook but not Access?
Oh, no idea. No idea.
We wanted to limit exposure to code, I suppose.
Access to be. I mean, they needed access to Access tools. Maybe they thought that Outlook is more sensitive than Access.
Okay. I think it's
not
probably because
probably that Access can interact with Outlook at this level.
Okay. I think it's because nobody sends anybody emails saying you got to look at this great new Access database I got. You know, it's just less likely to contain a virus.
Right. I was going to come on to Pat next, actually, but before I do, I think I know the answer to this question because you're using your helper app, or your Daemon as you're calling it. Is that based on the Philip Pullman books, I suspect? Maybe not.
What, sorry?
Oh, I said Daemon, spelt Daemon, as in the Philip Pullman books.
I don't know the books.
You don't know the books, right? Okay, that was a completely wasted question. You can edit that bit out if you like. Right. Performance, if you've got a large number of emails.
Sorry.
Performance within this database, if you've got a large number of emails being catalogued and so on, does performance suffer?
Yes and no. The real intense calculations are made by the filter. By the Daemon, which applies every existing filter to all the new emails. So this may be an intense computation. It's not a problem actually, because the filter is triggered every 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So it has all the time to finish before the next trigger is required. The next run is required.
I'm with you.
In any case, it's not a real-time job. I mean, there's no need for a new email to immediately appear in the correct folder.
Yeah.
It can stay in the inbox for a few minutes. Speed is not a key factor here. Anyway, we're talking about seconds or
I'm with you.
1 minute, 2 minutes to process new email. How many new emails can arrive? I mean,
yeah. Okay, right. There's two questions from Pat. One I think was related to this one about temp tables. Over to you, Pat.
As you were going through the process of searching, you were creating temporary tables in Outlook. And so the question is, why would you create the temporary tables in Outlook rather than either using a permanent table in Access or a temp table in Access? Or is like, well, maybe that goes back
Sorry,
to
I don't get it. I don't create tables in Outlook.
folders. You created folders in Outlook, temporary
Yeah,
folders.
well, they are static folders. They stay there.
Okay, because I thought you were talking about having trouble having to clean them up after the
So
user
they are usable.
You reuse them.
Yeah, well, some folders are temporary, really temporary. They need it on the spot for for extracting some.
That's what I'm talking about.
And then they can delete them. But most folders they create are somehow static, meaning they stay there and they consulted for a long time, for weeks or even for months.
Right. I understand the difference between the tables you're using to categorize the emails, but I thought you were the folders. But I thought you said that you were making temporary folders when the users did a search to hold the results of the search.
No, they create a search folder. If it's temporary or permanent, well, it's not my responsibility.
All right. Okay. All right. Never mind. Because I just thought I would have done that with a temporary table in Access, but never mind. I have another question. This is a personal.
Temporary table in Access to the what?
To hold the results of the search.
And how do you show them?
Well, then you show what you have is you have like a title name in the search list in the table, and then you pull up the email if you want to see it. But you also said you stored the emails in Access, so it seemed like the whole thing could be done within Access and not have to involve Outlook at all.
Maybe I see what you mean. Now I store information about extracted by the emails, not the emails itself. The point is they are more comfortable to work with Outlook. I mean, if I have to show them 100 emails because they all match the filter, I run a filter and there are 100 emails matching this filter. How do I show them in Access in a convenient way?
Well, you have a list, a subform that's a list. It looks just like the folder that they're looking at. So it has the summary information.
Well, I'm recreating an Outlook folder in Access because I should make a list of the titles. I mean, I have to do this. I see on the screen.
Right. I'm just talking about just for the search results.
So a summary, then I double click and the mail's open. This is what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
I see. Yeah, it could have been done, of course, but I thought it was more, how can I say, easier to exploit what's already there, the search folders, rather than.
That's fine, because I thought since everything was already
something similar in Access.
I just thought because everything that you needed was already in Access, you would just stay in Access for the search part. But that's okay. It was just a question.
That's true. That's correct. It can be done, but again, maybe I was a bit lazy.
Okay, but I have another question because
I didn't want to work too much, so I just used what's in there. Yeah.
Okay, I really like to categorize my email, and a couple of years ago, something changed in Outlook, and I can't categorize it anymore. And I see that you're categorizing your emails, and so could you walk through that just very slowly, because I can't find the place to mark an email category.
Neither I can. I never.
Well, I know you had trouble finding it. Okay, but first I need to know how to create a new category. Okay, which is one thing. But then for any given email, how do I assign the category to it? Just walk through that slowly, please.
Okay. Again, I can never remember where it is here from the main menu. So if I need it, and I almost never need it, but when I need it, I just create a new email. And here I have tags and categories.
Right, you can do it by, sorry, I've just opened Outlook to check this. If you right click on an email.
Please, Colin, solve this problem because
right click on an email in
here.
No,
right click on email. Yeah.
In your list on the left hand side there.
Yeah.
Just expand it, right click on anything.
Okay.
Categorize.
It's not there.
It's not there. That's
but
the problem.
But it is in mine. What
But
do you,
it's not.
which
See,
version?
I'm not crazy.
Yeah, you're both crazy.
Thanks.
I have got under markers unread. I have
think-
got categorize.
No, I haven't.
Can you click the category field column, and it might be that if he's right-clicking on the category column, the categorize option's there.
I'm not even. I'm just doing it in the list.
I can clear them, or I can do like these maybe. I have the red category. If I click here,
Right.
But-
That's all I get.
that's what I get as well. Yeah. So good to know I'm not the only one.
Shall I share my screen briefly?
Yes, please, and tell us what version of
Yeah,
Office
sure.
you're using.
I'm
No,
using.
but-
Well, Alessandro's using 365. I recognise that because of the coming soon bit. Can you see my screen now?
Okay.
Right. Can you see my Outlook at the moment?
Yeah.
Showing Pat joined my meeting an hour early.
Yeah.
But thank you for that, Pat. I noticed that. Right. If I right
But
click,
we trust you. We trust you.
I right click,
Wait.
Right.
categorize.
Right. But
Wait.
it's not in my list. I don't know how to get it there.
Okay.
And
I think it's.
I have no idea. Options.
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
I think it's a problem of different view, Colin.
It must be, but what?
But what's the setting?
Well, I have this three column bit, basically the list, then the expanded, the summary, as well as then the main email there. And you don't have that, do you, Alessandro?
Colin, let me share my screen once more. Sorry.
Okay.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I think it's a matter of view. I mean, this view, I don't have it. But if I select another folder with a different view, I don't have it as well. Okay,
Right.
but maybe here, okay, here I have it, you see. So it's a matter of
It
view
looks to
set.
me like you've got it on your personal folders, but not on the shared mailboxes.
I don't have any shared mailboxes actually.
What's the email at Alessandro? What's the folder down there then?
Which one? This one?
Yeah.
It's my Gmail box, my
Okay.
Gmail inbox.
To see other email accounts.
So I guess it's a matter of view. Settings. I
Click
don't
on the
know.
change view, change views second,
Yeah,
and
single.
yeah, and now you can change. Well, I have that where it
Yeah,
shows
you
several
see.
lines, but you've got
No, this was
categorize in
okay.
that one.
Okay. So did you find categorize? You went
Yeah.
too fast.
Yeah, so if you actually have the preview one, the
The-
third column,
I have the third column.
right?
Sorry, what
I don't
what-
know. It's clear it's going to be somewhere. I think because Alessandro is showing it as a column in that list there, it seems to disappear. Maybe if you remove that column, which was an option on the previous,
which column? Sorry,
right?
I got lost.
Remove the categories column from that list.
Okay.
Remove this column, fourth one down.
The categories
No.
column.
Go back. Go back.
Remove.
Well, all right. Okay, you could have done that from you could have done that from where
Now
you were
what?
before.
Down?
No, just remove it. Right, cancel.
Oh, okay.
Cancel. All right,
Cancel,
you've removed it now anyway. Okay, but no, you've still got it
No,
there.
I
Right,
did. Yeah, I did.
right click. Fourth one down on that list. Remove this column.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
Right
I like
now,
the long way.
now, if you right click, does categories appear?
No.
Categorized. No, but it might do. It might do if you went out and came back in again. I suspect, but
Well, anyway, okay.
yeah, we're going around into. All I know is I've got it,
We-
and I've
we have
always
to
had
study
it.
this topic
Yeah,
a bit more.
I've got it, and I've always had it, and I don't know how you get it if you haven't. But it's going to be
I have it somewhere.
one of the settings.
I have it somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah,
'cause I
probably.
used to have it and it disappeared like maybe 3 years ago, and I have never been able to find it again. And it really ticked me off, you know. Microsoft again taking away something I liked.
Alessandro, can you, in the same way as you're categorizing with those rectangles there, can you add flags in the same way in code? Because
Probably.
I tend to use flags rather than the categories.
Yeah, me too. Probably yes. I never tried. I don't know how to do that, but I guess it's possible.
Yeah, I've never tried either. I just wondered. Yeah,
I'm quite sure it's possible.
Has anyone got any other questions that they would like to ask Alessandro? And is there anything else that you wanted to cover, Alessandro?
No, I think it's enough for everybody.
Well, thank you ever so much for that. It's given lots and lots of scope for experimentation and so on. As I said, I would certainly appreciate seeing the original of this and just playing with this myself and seeing if I can adapt it for my own purposes as well. But as I said, at the moment, that's not going to be available there. But certainly, there was a lot for me to take in. The Outlook object model is something that is well outside my comfort zone, so I would have to do a lot of learning to actually take this in. So, don't we all just love Outlook? Says Neil.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I still find it search process absolutely useless.
I hate it.
Yeah, and oh yeah, just come back onto the Outlook screen there a second. Or who's sharing? I don't know who's sharing at the moment. Are you sharing or am I sharing? I think you are.
No one's sharing
right
now.
Okay, well I will take over sharing again. And thank you again for that, Alessandro. I was just going to bring Outlook back in. I found this really funny. It's got this coming soon little thing at the top there, which you can turn on or off. And if you turn it off, it moves things around on the screen, or it did, but it seems to have made no difference now. But recently, I can't get it to come back on again now. Oh, yeah, I must restart it. Great. Okay. But recently, a thing came up saying coming soon is going away soon. And I thought that was the most wonderful thing, coming soon and you'll lose it soon. So buy it, get it now while you can. It doesn't do anything particularly spectacular, though, it has to be said. So anyway, right. Enough rambling there, I think, from me. And we'll go on to the next slide. If I can actually dismiss all this lot. Dismiss all would be quicker. And next month, I was hoping that George would be with us for the end session here to talk about next month. George Hepworth is an ex-MVP, as you can see, has been for many years, but still highly active in Access, and he has been experimenting with the use of Power Apps for some time and has a whole series of YouTube videos on a bookstore application that he's been developing with Power Apps and Access together. And he's also been starting to build some work into Dataverse as well, I believe. Now, you can find the topic details on the website, but basically he's going to try and show you a hybrid model that you can create for an application which uses both a cloud data source, a desktop Access interface, and a browser interface within Access using the current i.e. web browser control. But he hopefully will take further than that and some of the issues that you'll like to actually confront when implementing Power Apps. I don't know how many people here have actually tried using Power Apps. My own experience is almost zero. Is there anyone who actually has worked with them?
I have no idea how to get them, what service I need or whatever. So if George could tell us what service you need to be subscribed to, that would be very helpful.
Right. Okay. I will make sure he's aware of that. Is anyone able to answer that question for Pat at the moment? I think you can get a free license to do a certain amount. And then the idea being you get sucked in and will want to actually then pay on a regular basis. I think one of the things that a lot of people say is that the licensing is so complicated that it's very, very difficult for people to work out how much they're going to be charged. And I think that's also the case with Dataverse and Azure as well, that many of the things people just are absolutely baffled by all the complexities there. But is there anyone who actually is using Power Apps at the moment? No, right. Well, it's going to be new to all of us then. Okay. Thank you, Alessandro, for your time and for your presentation. And hopefully we will see all of you next month for George's session as well. And from there. Okay. Thank you all. I will see you next month.